Why, hello, all of you beautiful people out there and my loyal minions. It's your Hypnogod, Mastermind, Ghostbuster, Urban Ledger.
Do we need to do the ventriloquism thing again?
No, we don't. Stop. All right. Why, hello, all of you beautiful people out there and my loyal minions. It's your Hypnogod, Mastermind, Ghostbuster, Urban Legend Destroyer. Fred Lee here with Zia Quill Kay. And as you know, he's came up with the idea of the whole ghost busting thing, and we came together and did that, and we got another thing in store for you. One comment in particular stood out, and it was by the Mixer, who is a new longtime fan now, and he says, "You two are the most competent and well-said Ghostbusters I have ever seen. I would love you to try and recreate a ghost video. And in the future, we definitely will. But today is extra special. Take it away."
So, we're going to be examining a very, very strange case. Warning, this story is disturbing. It does talk about some very difficult topics, mostly the experiments of MK Ultra and the idea that they were also done on children. So, if you're uneasy about that, this may not be the right video for you, but we're going to go into depth about the case and how it all came to be, the evidence for it. We're going to play a devil's advocate and showcase ideas that can help prove the story being true, as well as also showing the things that we feel make it false. So we're going over a big realm of all this, but it's a very fascinating case. So the story starts off in 1997. An unknown man was hiking through a forest located deep in the... I don't remember how to pronounce this word.
Adirondack.
Adirondack Mountains in New York while traveling down the isolated and unmarked trail. He stubbed his toe on a half-buried metal box. Bing! Should have done that. I lost my spot. There it is. Curious about finding something so obviously out of place, he decided to dig it up and see what was inside. Upon opening the box, a story started to unfold of what very well could be the darkest thing the United States government has ever done. MK Ultra on children. Inside the box were 21 photos, 3 rolls of video films, and a stack of classified documents, all of which painted the incredibly disturbing picture of child torture, forced drug use, and attempted mind control. Terrified by what he discovered, the man closed the box, took it home, and hid it. Although he tried to forget about the gruesome discovery, the details haunted him until his death in 2002. From there, the box went to his nephew, John, who set off to try and understand what his uncle had discovered in the woods so many years before. Luckily for John, the internet was around, so he could be able to share his story in real time through the blog he created in October of 2005. He started his blog with the story of his uncle and the pictures of the metal box that held everything. This blog would soon become the active journal detailing multiple trips to the region in question to find any more clues that could help unravel the story and possibly help explain what really happened in that very isolated mountain range. So the nephew John is recounted the story of how his uncle came across this box, how John got the box, and how years later he decided to try to figure out what all of this meant. Because it's a very strange case.
This entire narrative was narrated by Morgan Freeman.
The alleged experience. That was a horrible accent. What the hell was that?
I don't know, that kind of sounded like, I don't know.
I gotta try and get the right... I don't know if I can do a Morgan Freeman accent. I'm Morgan Freeman. No, I can't.
March of the Penguins.
Penguins look dapper in the little suits. I can do it.
They just so happen to have mind control powers. That's why they're so damn cute.
They're actually ugly, but we walk into the zoo, and they're just going, "Look at me. Oh, they're so cute."
Staring into their little beady eyes, them delicate, sexy birds.
I'll try to use a sexier voice. How's that?
Oh, man.
Okay, here we go. You ready? I'll try to get through one paragraph in a sexy voice, but this is gonna be a funny paragraph to do.
I mean, we could just break down the photos. I mean, it's just we just gave them the context.
But now I gotta do this now because this is just gonna be funny.
Okay,
we gotta
one paragraph.
One paragraph. I'm gonna try to use a sexy narrator voice. The alleged experiments were conducted in the area of Indian Lake, New York, roughly 90 minutes northeast of Utica. Utica, we know that from The Office.
Well, in terms of the narration, I don't know. I don't. Is it supposed to be like the epic narrator from like trailers and stuff, or
I don't know. I'm just trying to do a deep, sexy voice. It is a secluded town with a population
not seductive enough.
of only 1,000. The box with its contents, now referred to as the Indian Lake Project, are believed to be part of an Operation Artichoke.
Dude, where the hell? Jigsaw's in the room.
Operation Artichoke. It's hard to say artichoke in a sexy way.
Artichoke.
I said sexy, not disturbing. I don't know what you're going to do with that artichoke. Now I don't want to know. Operation Artichoke was a very real CIA project that studied advanced interrogation methods and experimented with hypnosis, psychedelic drug addiction, and mind control. This would later become known as MK Ultra. That was pretty cool.
It sounded, to be honest, it sounded more like Jigsaw narrating it. Like that's a.
I like to play a game. Can do it like this the whole time. It's like
pretty much.
It's like a generic version of Batman. I'm Bat Guy. My voice isn't as deep as Batman. I have no cancer. Where is she? She's right over there, dude. Chill out. Okay, sorry. By the way, I really want to see.
Oh wait, hold on. I got the water bottle. Hold on. This gives me the extra Bane voice. Oh, there's water in it. Damn it.
Chug.
No, I need the water.
By the way, I really want to see Batman use in a throat lozenge commercial. Ricola. Takes one. Ricola. How great would that be?
No,
I'm Batman.
I think. You go from like throat cancer Batman to like
Batman.
To
Adam West Batman. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Was it? I'm Bat. No, like he's got that.
What?
He's got a distinct voice though. It's like
yeah, Adam West. I can't do an Adam West voice. I do a couple voices.
I'm Adam West. Not more or less. Not.
He's not so breathy.
Well, in Family Guy, he is.
He's Adam West. He has this very weird cadence. I love Adam West. Best Batman ever, by the way. Everyone complains about other people or says this person. No, Adam West was the best Batman. Shut up. So anyway, that's the setup of the story of the Indian Lake Project.
We got some photos aside from the box that you saw initially. Let's get cracking on what we got here.
Do you want me to do the rest of the story? We can like go or we can just go through and explain the photos, and then kind of go through the story more
or less, because we're gonna break down some aspects of it.
Some of these pictures are either still pictures that were found in the box supposedly, and other ones were still frames captured from any of the three reels of recorded footage. O.P. John said that the film was very tattered and very old, and he was afraid of actually playing it for fear of damaging it. So he would take still frames and post them on his blog once in a while. Now, the blog at one point did stop. So he was getting some very strange messages and phone calls. He was worried about his wife and kids. And he said he was going to stop posting anything about this, and he was done. As time went on, he got a divorce. Good for us, because he continued the story. He's always saying he didn't have to worry about them hurting his wife, because now he's divorced and doesn't care if they hurt her.
But his posts are a little, supposedly, and then his posts got a little more erratic and all that stuff.
Yeah, they got really, if you actually read the blog, it gets really weird. It really does. There's some major key points that we're going to look at. Like this picture here shows one of the buildings that supposedly were in the woods in Indian Lake. And there are some like building remnants that are supposedly there that you can check out. However, only John ever posted photos. Other people have searched the area like crazy trying to help with the story, and no one else can find the what's left of the buildings or the entrance to the underground bunker, which we'll get to in a little while.
And also, supposedly, the people that went in there actually turned out missing.
There was a strange wave of people after the story really got big that went into that area and never came out. and became known as the Indian Lake Triangle. However, some of the weird stuff that happened with that, that's been talked about before in other videos, like Nick Crowley has a great video detailing this whole story. Definitely recommend that if you're interested. It's about a 30-minute long video. Really recommend it. One of the things he brought up towards the beginning as a skeptic was, why was John's uncle deep in an area of the woods that were not a pathway, were not a trail of any kind? And my thing is, a lot of people may know the area extremely well and want to get away from the beaten paths. That's not too outrageous to me. That to me isn't a red flag. Him stubbing his toe in this box and digging it up. You and me discussed this shortly before we started filming. It's a weird thing to think about that, just because someone that worked on the project could have stolen a few things before they were destroyed and put in the box and thinking, like, I'm going to come back for this, and because of rains and stuff like that, and because it's not part of the trail, could have gotten lost. And over time, the corner was exposed, causing John's uncle to stub his toe on it, finding it. So it could be 1 in a billion, but it is possible. So that to me is not a red flag. It's still possible. Red flags to me are things that are more obviously incorrect, which we're going to get to.
So in short, we're going to just call this the insider threat theory, where somebody within the project decided to take that information in the midst of all of the documents and everything else being destroyed, because in any government job, any sort of information that's classified has to be destroyed because it's standard protocol. But an insider threat would take all that. If you like your little spy movie stuff, that's what an insider threat is.
Especially with all the stuff that was supposedly there as evidence. Him stealing, 21 photos, 3 rolls of film, and a stack of classified documents. There's so much stuff there, people aren't going to notice that these things are missing. So that is a very plausible thing in my eyes. It could happen. Especially when you think about what MK Ultra was and it being done on kids. Someone very well could have a heart, but like, this is wrong. Let's not do this. And I get that part.
There's also that, and also, like I said, there's that aspect, and also there's the insider threat theory, where because this is the Cold War, someone that infiltrated it, perhaps former Russian psyops, would be like, hey, this is great to, like, totally demoralize the American people, much like 2020, and and use it as, a political advantage and cause havoc within the United States, stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons behind it, behind the supposed theft of said government property, or just putting out what's plausible.
There's a lot that goes into this of possibilities, and my thing is, to me, though, like I said, a rogue someone going rogue pretty much and stealing some evidence and hiding it to get in the future isn't that crazy to me. One of the other things that relates to that was brought up in another video by I believe it was That Chapter, is the YouTube channel, that the person brought up a video, someone, like a little documentary someone made of the area. To me, the documentary seemed very fake. It was almost like Blair Witchy kind of thing. And they supposedly interviewed people in the area, but even people that live in that area claimed that this couldn't have happened because the people never came into town to get supplies. No one else was living there. It would have been obvious if new people moved in there working on a secret government project, or, why didn't they go grocery shopping in town, all that stuff. And that plays to the fact that it's a top secret government thing. They're not going to go into the local store. Like, it's not like families moving there. Oh, we moved here because we're military and I have a new job I'm working on. What is it? We're giving children LSD and seeing if we can control their minds. That's not going to happen that way. It's going to be just the bare minimum. You're not going to bring your spouse and kids to live in the area while you're working on this. It's not going to happen. So any food is going to be brought there and taken out. Everything's going to be done in secret. The other thing that was brought up was how, because it's just a small town of like 1,000 people, that they know everyone's business. So it couldn't have happened. And I completely disagree with that statement, simply because there's been lots of cases of very prominent people, even like John Wayne Gacy and BTK, that, went unnoticed for so long. And the one I talked to you about earlier was the Golden State Killer. I live right by Sacramento, so it was a huge breakthrough story because he was in my area. And one of the things that happened in Auburn, California, where there's a community meeting, people were demanding justice, and the police find out who this person was breaking into homes and assaulting women and men. And someone stood up and said that this assailant is bitch, pretty much, and a real man would stand up and fight for his wife and wouldn't allow this to happen. Well, 3 months later, that couple was attacked, which led to believe that this Golden State Killer, who I forget what he was known at the time in that area, was in that meeting. Well, it turned out he was actually one of the officers working for the city and was on stage during all of this. People have been attacked by him, and there's already a sketch out that looked so much like him. It was crazy. It was a very well done sketch, and yet no one seemed to recognize him. So even though you could be in a small town and you could be looking your assailant in the face and still not be able to recognize him, shows just how much humans don't notice what's happening around them. And that's why this could very well have happened in the 50s, like it claimed. This was early 50s that this took place, 1952 and 1955, so early to mids. I really feel that this could have happened without people noticing. Like 100 miles deep in the woods, who's going out there? No one. It's just, to me, that part makes sense. It could happen. One of the other photos we have is, it shows kids in cages. And this apparently was from one of the video reels. There's a still frame from it. I found this hard to believe, only because one of the other photos later on that we'll show you has like all these cots laid out for the kids while they have them locked up in a cage like this and be filming it. That seems very strange. A lot of things contradict each other, and I found that kind of strange. But it's a unique photo. I don't know where this photo came from, but I don't think it's from these experiments at all.
Kind of looks like something from Schindler's List, but movie buffs would probably be able to...
No one's been able to recognize this yet, though, which is interesting. So it makes me think that maybe this was made by John to tell this story. I think a lot of this stuff was faked, and some of it was proven fake, and we'll get to that in a little bit, too. So the next photo is unique. And the idea was that they're making the mind control things as games for the kids, so they'll partake in them, and they slowly build more and more aspects to it to get more detailed, so the kids go along with it more. You know, maybe they're trying to incorporate a certain sound frequency that you don't really hear in nature as a trigger thing to help, you know, carry out like an assassination or something like that. And they're kind of training for that and seeing how if they can get that going inside their mind. And
also the theory behind this photo as well, because people when they look at the photo, it looks like the child's perhaps in distress, and you see the hands of the conductor of the experiment. Supposedly it's a high frequency where it's kind of disruptive to the child's not comfortable with it, and as such the operator is holding the child's hands to prevent them from taking the headphones off the ears, you know, things like that. And this is why some people find it disturbing to an extent.
And you also gotta think, if this was a real thing like in the 50s, this could have been a child with autism and sensory issues and doesn't like headphones on, so he's kind of freaking out from that. There's so many variables here that can be examined that could completely disprove this idea, and that is not part of the MK Ultra series. It was just, you know, a hearing test that someone found footage of and decided to, you know, put it towards a story. This is where it gets weird for me, was this image and the following one too. Show the following one real quick so we can go back and forth. So there's that one as well. Both have the exact same problem. This was in the early to mid 1950s. This is a long time ago. Before digital cameras, before cell phones, before security cameras were really a thing. So in fact, you're going to have a video camera, a camcorder, positioned up in a corner of a room where the kids could get to it, technically. So maybe they'd have like a hole cut in the wall for the lens, you know, but who knows, they can throw something in there or, like, you know, poop in their hands smeared on the lens. There's so many variables. Why would you have it at this angle? Looks more like security camera footage, which wasn't a thing back then. If anything, if a kid started showing weird things, they pull them out immediately because it's a science experiment and bring them into a room where there is a video camera ready to go, filming everything. This would be wasted footage, especially if there's no kids in the photo and it's just an adult walking. So to me, that's a massive red flag, simply because this is a major waste of footage. For the 1950s to record, why would you record this? This makes zero sense to me. And I find that really difficult to believe that this is from one of their reels of film, that they would actually just film an empty room with just a guy walking through. Like, it makes no sense. And this is where the story really got, because the idea of MK Ultra being done on kids, from a scientific perspective, makes sense. You can get them while their brain's still developing and maybe develop these powers that they're trying to instill in people. But at the same time, that part makes sense, but this doesn't. This picture does not make sense with the narrative in any way, shape, or form. And it really bothers me, because like, it just seems so far-fetched. What's the next? So before we get to the next photo, oh, there it is. This is really neat because the day before John released this photo, John released a video of some of the old dilapidated buildings and like the old generator that's still out there in the woods apparently. And then the very next day he posted photos of this underground bunker that he found while metal detecting and was able to open the hatch. Now, a lot of people are claiming that, goes, well, the government would have destroyed the building, so there wouldn't be anything standing, and they would have, they should have buried it better. But we know, like there's tons of people that explore, abandoned buildings in, the middle of the desert where government things were happening, and there's still files strewn out everywhere. 30, 40 years later, the buildings are still standing. It's amazing what they leave behind, even in modern times. So, especially in the 50s, they would leave stuff behind. I'm not gonna think anyone's gonna find this stuff. And so this apparently was the entranceway. It reminds me of the show Lost. And he actually mapped out what the building was like. So that staircase he found was not the prime entrance, but it's the one he found that he could get access to. And he shows, a generator. He shows other parts in the footage. And it's very, very strange. But they could have built an underground bunker, but it's pretty sketchy to me. I don't quite believe that. The next photo is what caused major disturbance in John's claims. John posted this photo and a photo of a dead bird that he claims was just out front of his front door. And he was saying that it was a message that was being sent to him. Because around this time, he had white vans following him. So he had hunters following him into the woods with, camouflage on, the orange vest, and shotguns. But it wasn't hunting season. So he thinks it was, spies that are trying to blend in. But this way they can have a weapon on them easily and take them out. And this is the photo that he posted, claiming that he claimed he took this photo in the area of where Indian Lake was supposed to be for the experiments. Problem was, this is a stock photo, so he did not take this photo. Same with the photo of the bird, the dead bird that was out front of his home. That was also proven to be a stock photo. So now, is he getting more lazy with his claims and his lying and his deceit? Because at this point, his blog, he was going on really weird tangents of things that didn't make any sense. Was his mind starting to go, and he was getting so involved in this, he was kind of losing sense of reality, and he thought he took this photo, but he downloaded it for whatever reason. A lot of
There's also
ideas.
the factor that in the course of the blog, initially before his relationship fell apart, all of this stuff happened post-relationship. It could be the fact that he's under mental distress, but if he legitimately is doing what he claims he's doing, and if he is being pursued by the government or anything else, there's a high possibility that somebody could have infiltrated his base of operations, drugged him, and thus it's causing him to lose rationale, and then there's coming up with all kinds of things. Or, of course, playing devil's advocate, he's flat out lying and just trying to milk this as much as he could possibly can.
Yeah, and like I said, it gets very strange. After we go through the photos, there is a section of the story. Because I did write up a 3-page thing about this whole story, really condensed it down for a friend of mine who did a weekly live show but had to cancel the show and we're never able to use it. And Fred loves this story. I thought it would be great for this channel, but there is something here that was in the video I showed you that I completely forgot about, and we'll get to it in a sec because it's a doozy. But let's look at the next photo, because these next photos are... So this is supposedly photos that were found in the metal box. At the very beginning of all this, these were in the metal box. Apparently they had water damage and stuff like that, and I find this difficult because the box was in extremely good condition, especially considering the region, and that was buried. The water damage, usually, if you have a stack of photos and there's water damage, you're going to kind of see similarities in the water damage. These photos look like of filters over them, like it's a more modern photo and there's a filter over it to make it look aged. It doesn't look really aged to me. And I'm an avid photographer. I was a camera engineer for work for a long time, and from my perspective, I don't think these are legit pictures. I really don't. If someone else has experience in this field and think they're legit, please let me know. I would love to talk about it, but I don't think these are real. Go to the next one real quick. So this is a photo that was also in the box, and it shows a scientist and someone from the military, and the military person's face is blacked out. Well, why don't you black out the other person? And also, why would you take this photo? It seems weird to sit there and be like, the scientist would be like, he goes, "Excuse me, General, can I get a photo with you?"
Usually that stuff never flies in the military.
Yeah, like this especially on a top secret thing.
Exactly.
This is so weird. Same with the photo coming up next. It just makes no sense. But like, and this is the next photo. It makes no sense, just like the last one. The fact they have this giant sign there and they're posing in front of it.
Hold on.
Why would you post this?
I'm actually looking at it pretty closely here, so it's pretty blurry, but the guy on the right of the photo, the insignia, it looks like the chevrons of a sergeant. So one theory is that this photo could just legitimately be taken from like maybe a basic training course or something.
Yeah.
And just slapping it on there, say, hey, your life's gonna suck, so enjoy it while you can.
It definitely seems weird to me that is this top secret government thing that we know MK Ultra was a real thing, and it was horrific that people had to go through this, and yet they're going to take a photo like this there. It makes zero sense. You wouldn't take this kind of photo psychologically. Same with the last one with the scientists and the military personnel. It doesn't make any sense that these are the photos that would be taken there versus the other photos of the kids. You would have that for their files. That could make sense, but like I said, this one and the previous one just make no sense to me.
So back to the subject of the kids. Now, initially, when we went digging through the subject, I had a theory like behind how they got the supply of kids, how they managed to put this whole operation together.
Yeah, and it was weird that you predicted pretty much what was going to happen later on, because it gets weird. So tell them what you originally thought, and then I'll jump in and tell them what was actually found about the area.
Right, so considering that this is a top secret military project, they want to keep everything hush-hush. So they chose the middle of nowhere in New York. And in order for them to do research on kids specifically, because, as we've discussed, you can mold children to whatever you want. Like, for example, Zia mentioned during our previous conversation about Shaolin monks, I talked about how people trained in ninjutsu, or at least dedicated martial artists, would start at a very young age and be molded into said personality. So, if in the military and...
Yeah, we know this exists. We know it can happen.
Like, if you're a Marvel fan, Winter Soldier, even though he's an adult, reprogrammed to become a killing machine, the concept is not foreign. Where I think even the movie Black Widow goes into detail, because she started as when she was really young too.
I've never seen the movie, so I don't know.
The overall gist of the plot is that I never watched it either, but that's the gist of pretty much everything. Conceptually, it's all the same and it all ties in.
Yeah.
So
it's such a strange idea. The question becomes like with MK Ultra, they had homeless people, drug addicts,
hookers.
Prostitutes, people that were in insane asylums, and so they're getting people that, I know this sounds really mean, but people that wouldn't really be missed or even notice that they were gone necessarily.
Basically, expendables.
Yeah, and it's sad to think that some people are viewed that way.
Not Schwarzenegger or Stallone. Yeah. They're expendables, but they're freaking super soldiers in their own right. But back to the children theory.
Like where are they going to get the kids from? And someone had Nick Crowley actually found his research for his YouTube video about it. In the area was an orphanage at the time.
And initially I said you can get children from an orphanage. That's like...
Before he knew about that fact. And my thing is the fact that there was an orphanage in the area that was found to be a real place. It's not like people are just going to be adopting in the small... in like Utica, or the little tiny town that's nearby where supposedly this happened, the town of 1,000 people.
And it's also really convenient that there's an orphanage there, so the odds are that orphanage was also created at the same time the facility was as well.
Or even like a little bit before, to help fuel it and give them kids to work with, and this way without raising suspicion. That is the devil's advocate part that we want to discuss about this, that is a real possibility. And it's terrifying to think about, but that is a real possibility. Here's where it gets weird. Like, I haven't told you this part, but in other parts of research I found for when I was doing this thing for Dan's show, I'm just going to read this part because it's really, really strange. Just when you think that things can't get any stranger, John receives an email from a lady claiming to be the daughter of one of the men working on the project. She claimed her parents would talk about the poor children on a regular basis. She wanted John to send her to the original copies of the documents and pictures so she could see them for them herself. She offered him some of her father's original documents from the project in return. John questioned the legitimacy of her motives and did not comply with her request. She would continue emailing him, all while John made it clear that he was not interested. It is a small part of the story, but strange. Now here's what bothers me about that. She's saying that, her parents come home. If you're working on top secret thing, they're not going to bring in people that, are going to be living nearby and discussing. It's going to be, you're going to be living there on the property pretty much for these kind of things, especially back then. It is going to be so incredibly hush-hush.
So, email. That's actually a new development.
But yeah, the fact that John got an email from a woman who said that both her parents worked on this project, and when they came home, they were talking about the poor children. I don't believe this in any way, shape, or form. Simply because of, like I said, they're not going to, who's going to move to this area and be like, oh yeah, we're how are you supposed to hide what you do? You just happen to this town, both parents leave during the day and then come back in the evening like anyone else, but no one knows where they're working. It would raise too many eyebrows and just way too many red flags. People would be wanting to know about it.
Also, it's a waste of resources because go there, come back, So
it's like you're gonna be living there.
Like,
it's gonna be as the smallest amount of people possible to make the project happen are going to be there. Nothing more than that.
And also, the orphanage and the facilities is designed to have a good enough sample size where it's not too big or anything. It's just right to obtain data needed for mind control, LSD, all of that stuff. And tapping into the whole subject of hypnosis and everything else, hypnosis was not really used a whole lot in the MK Ultra experiments. Rather, it was hard drugs and other things of that sort, because drugs, you can just slip into stuff right away. Hypnosis takes a little bit of effort and a lot of work, which, if you know the government by now, they're lazy as So, with the whole hypnosis theory and how you can use it to brainwash someone into assassinating somebody, Darren Brown's special, just to give you a little insight of how he does his things, Darren is very airtight when it comes to his productions. So as such, he's using classical hypnosis literature. Now, in my channel, I've talked about how the classical hypnosis literature is very outdated, and there's some things that I've disproven a ton, especially on this channel, and caused a lot of controversy with. But
yeah.
Darren Brown's method is time-old classic, old-school hypnosis, and he gets 100% consent from them. Now, classical hypnosis requires you to have the subject say, yes, I would like to be hypnotized. If you notice in any of my videos, though, I never ask that question. I never go up and say, hey, do you want to be hypnotized? I genuinely never say that, just to test the theory of if hypnosis is real, it would look something like this. You can make them do stuff against their will. Now, with Darren's, however, he gets full-blown permission, and he can take it as far as they want to go. So to an extent, the volunteer, in their subconscious mind, probably had thoughts about killing somebody. So as such, he was able to mold them and push them the way that they should, using classical brainwashing techniques and old-school hypnotherapy, which takes frickin' forever. So,
it's a very slow burn.
Yes, so do keep that in mind. And when you associate hypnosis with the MK Ultra, we're talking about old-school hypnosis. There's a reason why I'm very hush-hush about some of my methods, is because since we're delving into topics like this, the last thing I want is to be involved or somehow have an association or tie with projects that are dastardly like this.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting that out there, and now you know that a majority of these experiments are just either physical triggers such as drugs, sounds, classical psychological techniques, much like Pavlov's dogs, but with children.
Yeah, it's a scary thing to think about. That things like this were probably done. Now, me personally with this story, I do feel, because MK Ultra was a real thing, and that scientifically it would make sense to do it on kids as well. I do think MK Ultra was done on kids. Like, there's no proof of it as of now, but it honestly wouldn't surprise me. I do think it was done, just based on how MK Ultra was handled. Do I think this story is true, the Indian Lake Project story? No. I don't believe it at all. The box is in too good a condition. There's water damage, but there's no gasket on the box, so water, like when it's pouring rain or snowing and it's melting, it would have done way more damage to everything. This does not seem plausible. It just doesn't. There are some aspects that, like that do make sense, that could actually happen. But in this story, I do not think this is true in any way, shape, or form. I just don't. From the evidence that's there's too much disproving it. Like as we mentioned throughout this video, there have been a couple things like this is a plausible aspect of it. This box could have been hidden. We don't know when, but you know, something across it could very well happen. Stranger things have happened, but certain things like the show MK Ultra. I caught that after I said it.
Perhaps are the aliens? Maybe, who knows, right?
Now, I do believe in aliens. I will want like ghosts. I'm very skeptical about ghosts. If we could vote, I vote yes. I think it'll be amazing. Aliens, as my grandfather put it, it's way scary to think we're alone in the universe. But people are pretty sick and twisted. So MK Ultra happening is horrific. The thing that people stood by and watched this happening and thinking it was a good idea. This was for the good of mankind. And that I really think it was done on kids as well. And that part's just been hidden. But Indian Lake Project, I really feel it's fake. I really do. There's so many weird paranormal stories out there. I've been showing Fred more and more of them because I love this kind of stuff. And like there's one about a guy that was apparently murdered by a ghost. Like, I'm dead serious. I'll show you that one after we film. It's insanely ridiculous. But there is some evidence that makes it where like we don't have an answer. But because we don't have an answer doesn't mean we jump to a conclusion that this is paranormal, this is a ghost, this is aliens, this is the government doing this. It just simply means we do not know. Based on the evidence that we have, we cannot come to a conclusion any direction. Also,
it's very difficult to really like make sense out of certain things and be absolutely certain, because the person that is saying the said narrative, the source of all this information, is an unreliable source, because at some point he deviates, he puts up stock photos.
Yeah, some of the stories don't make any sense, his ramblings. But then you look at someone like Bob Lazar. If you don't know who Bob Lazar is, he apparently worked for a division of Area 51 trying to, what's it called? Back engineer the propulsion system of a UFO that the government has custody of. And he apparently got to see this UFO in person, go inside of it and check it out. His story has never faltered. And things he said that people said were complete BS, like, you know, in like the late 90s, have now been declassified, and it's been proven he was telling the truth about certain things that were declassified now. And it to me, that's creepy. His stuff has never faltered. There's nothing... it's a crazy story. You should really look into it. It's great. But like John telling this story of the Indian Lake Project, there's so many lies and there's so much deception and there's so many things that just don't make sense. And that the evidence put forward is not reliable, like the stock photos or even the photographs in front of the sign or with the military guy and the scientist. They don't make sense in this world of what they would be photographing. It makes no sense. And it makes me not believe his story at all. And then of course he did say that he would be doing all future updates on Twitter, and that never happened, and he just kind of disappeared. So what happened to John?
Perhaps we may or may not know. So what do you guys think? Shoot some stuff down in the comments below. And
should we try to contact John's ghost with a Ouija board?
Why the hell not? Let's do it.
Oh, get the Ouija board.
But yeah, and who knows if he's alive or not. I don't think it's a steady surface, but okay. Anyways, shoot your comments down below. What your thoughts are on this whole Indian Lake Project thing. If you got any more other MK Ultra related stuff, put it in the comments down below. I'll be happy to take a look at it. We can dig deeper, and I can also debunk whether or not actual hypnosis techniques were used or not, so on. And also, the cost of admission for these videos is just one of these beautiful thumb thingamajiggers, the like button. Yeah, this one, the one that looks like this.
Click.
If you can color a coloring book, if you can park in a parking space properly, if you can stay in your lane, obviously do one of these.
So if you like the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video,
hit the like
mind your own business and go away. Don't touch any buttons. Especially,
this is the only button you should touch.
Yeah.
And the share button.
If you like it, if you like the video, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, subscribe, because we can be your entertainment for being just stupid.
Yeah, there's... Oh.
Some people that don't believe
Actually, you should subscribe, because later in the year, when things open up, when I have
my
access to
grandma's
more people, you'll be able to get all the exclusive hot stuff that you've been craving for the longest time. Anyways, while I was taking a phone call, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.